then now perhaps a little later on, hot lunches will also be available. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. On behalf of Captain Collins, the officers and crew, we particularly like to welcome all passengers on board Balmoral today, and especially the chairman of the local district council and the mayor of Bridport, who are travelling with us on this historic occasion. The first sailing from Bridport along the Jurassic coast, the full length of the Jurassic coast, going as far as the Needles on the Isle of Wight. And by the signal which we will now demonstrate for you. The vessel has 4 muster stations on board, all clearly marked, and passengers should take note of their positions. In the event of any emergency requiring evacuation, you will be instructed by the master over this public address system to proceed to the nearest accessible exit. During today's sailing, you'll find our self-service dining saloon open. This is located at the after end of the main deck, and will be open throughout the sailing for the sale of coffees, teas, snacks and light refreshments. Currently, hot bacon and sausage rolls are available, and a little later on, hot lunches will be available. Forward on the main deck, you'll find the Britannia Lounge, which caters for those requiring stronger refreshment. Whilst in the forward observation end of the promenade deck, you'll find our well-stocked souvenir shop. It has a very wide variety of Balmoral souvenirs and a range of chocolates and confection. And also many books. We have Balmoral books, £3.95. These are recently published handbooks which give the history of Balmoral and their predecessors in the White Funnel Fleet. We also have the larger hardback Balmoral books, Balmoral and Piers. This was published a few years ago and is now at a reduced price of £9.95. So you'll find all these items in the souvenir shop at the forward end of the promenade deck, just underneath the navigating bridge.
Now we're just coming up to the East Beach at Burton Bradstock there, across on the port side. There's a large car park over there. Very pleasant place to visit. One of the large houses there on the left-hand side of the beach, that's one of those is actually owned by Billy Bragg, the famous songwriter and singer. And slightly ahead of us on the port side is West Bexington. And you can drive down from Swire to West Bexington, and you can see there's quite a large car park down there by the beach. And that's a very popular place for local fishermen. Up on the top of the hill there is St Catherine's Chapel, which is on the hill just above the village of Abbotsbury. To the east of St Catherine's Hill there, with the chapel on the top, down behind the beach, that's where the Fleet Lagoon starts, and that's where you can find the Abbotsbury Swanery. And if you're very lucky, you might actually get to hold a baby swan. So that's all taking place down there behind the beach at the famous Abbotsbury Swanery. Right on top of the hills, you can see the Hardy's Monument. That's owned by the National Trust. That's actually a monument to Thomas Masterman Hardy, who was Nelson's flag captain at the Battle of Trafalgar. Well, we've safely reached the other side of the firing range there, and you can see the second red flag there across on the beach. Just across there to port, looking across at White Regis. It's where the Whitehead torpedo was developed, and that of course was used both in surface ships and submarines. The factory's all gone now. It was demolished a few years ago, and it's now a residential housing estate. Now we're almost up to the Isle of Portland. If you look up at the top of the island there, the highest point, can see what looks like a large golf ball. That's actually the watchman radar. Well, we've now made our turn and we make our way down towards Portland Bill. Immediately on the port side now, you've got the town of Fortune's Well. We're just coming down towards what's known as Pulpit Rock, and if you look ahead of us you've got a good view of the famous Pulpit Rock. You can see how it got its name. It really does look like a church pulpit. There's the famous Portland Bill light, and right on the end of Portland there, the white obelisk. That's actually a Trinity House marker. As we round the bill, we're actually leaving Lyme Bay and going in towards Weymouth Bay. We're just coming up to the third of the Portland lighthouses, and that one today is actually a bird observatory. Originally there was a light ship out there, a manned light ship, and the local steamers from Weymouth used to regularly make trips out to view the Shambles light ship. I think everybody will agree that if that railway was still operating today, it would have been a really major tourist attraction.
Oh yeah.
Watchman radar, Portland's very own huge golf ball up there at the top, and we're actually now around the other side of the Portland prison up there, and also the first of the entrances to Portland Harbour. Now this south entrance has been closed for very many years. There's actually an old battleship which was sunk as a block ship there, the original HMS Hood. And a wreck is still there, and it's a very popular place for local fishermen. Now one of the reasons that entrance was closed up, that as we pass you'll see that there's a nice clear view straight into Portland Dockyard that was the naval port, and of course that would have presented an ideal opportunity for enemy submarines to fire straight in through to the dockyard. Looks a little bit like a block of flats, but it's all made of steel. That actually housed around about 300 prisoners. The large fleet oil tanker there, that's operated by the Fleet Auxiliary. They come in here quite frequently. Now she's moored at what was known as the coaling pier, because that's where the old warships in the days of steam used to take their coal on board. Now back in 1958, the world's very first nuclear-powered submarine made her call there, having gone underneath the North Pole for the very first time. That was the USS Nautilus. Well, we're just coming up to the next harbour entrance. To the left-hand side of the harbour entrance is the old fortification known as the Chequer Fort. You might be able to make out two oblong concrete structures. They're old Mulberry docks, which were used during the D-Day invasion. Now as we start to turn, if you look across at the very end of the breakwaters, you're looking across at what's known as DRA Bincleaves. This is another experimental establishment operated by the Minister of Defence. And to the right of the breakwater end is what's known as Newton's Cove. It It was derelict for many years. It's now once again open to the public, and it's got a very good museum there.
Passengers for Weymouth should prepare for disembarkation. All other passengers should remain on board.
That's right, yeah.
The vessel is equipped with life-saving appliances which will be launched manually by the crew if required. And a variety of meals, snacks, coffees, teas and light refreshments are available in the dining saloon. Hot lunches are available. Also our homemade soup and rolls. Forward on the main deck you'll find the Britannia Lounge with a wide variety of alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, and also teas and coffees are available in the Britannia Lounge. Our souvenir shop is located in the forward observation lounge on the promenade deck. It stocks a very wide variety of Balmoral souvenirs and a range of chocolates and confectionery. You can buy a postcard on board, and if you post it in the post box near the shop counter, it'll receive a special hand stamp posted aboard Balmoral. So we hope you enjoy the cruise. We will be pointing out places of interest as we go along. Now, if there are any passengers requiring tickets for today's cruise, could they call now at the purser's office? You'll find the purser's office just behind the funnel on the promenade deck.
Some people believe we've still got our very own dinosaur down here on the south coast. The Abbotsbury is up in the water. A bit of imagination. We're going to enter Weymouth Bay. Now the gap in the chalk cliffs about halfway across Weymouth Bay, which we're just coming up to, that's known as Arishmel Gap. Now we're getting towards the far side of Weymouth Bay. Now over there by the red coloured cliffs you've got the beach. Reassembled up on see the Swanage lifeboat station and slipway. Bournemouth Bell and away. Towards Bournemouth you can see the observation balloon, the tethered observation balloon, which flies up from the central gardens there.
Your return is by coach, which will leave the pier gates at Bournemouth at 5 o'clock. With us, you're leading us now.
Could John Hubbard please call down by the purser's office?